Yo, how's it going? Welcome to the DWIV Science Q&A podcast. This is the second Q&A podcast. We have three types of podcasts here. If you're new here, we have the regular podcast, which is me and another guest. We have the triple podcast, where it's me and two other guests. And then we have the Q&A podcast, which is this, where you guys submitted me questions and I have the answers for them. So I am kind of sick. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice a little bit. It's probably allergies. My throat's really itchy. That's why I got this water right here. So yeah, welcome to the podcast. It's going to be really fun. Awesome. So let's look at all the questions we have today. So I screenshotted all of the questions. I have them all. Let's see. All right. ye_ye.boy.3254 on Instagram asks, what would you do if a zombie apocalypse happened? That's a great question, and I have a great answer for that. So if there's a zombie apocalypse that happened, which is most likely not possible, but if it did happen, I would go straight either to the tundra slash taiga in Alaska, or I'd go to Antarctica. Now, the reason for that is because there's not a lot of people in those areas, and so there won't be a lot of zombies, and also zombies will be dead flesh, and dead flesh deteriorates in the cold. They'll just die off in the cold. So they wouldn't be such a problem up there. Up and down there, Antarctica and Alaska. That's what I would do in a zombie apocalypse. I would move there on a boat. I'd go on a boat, not a plane. I'd go on a boat. Yeah, that's what I would do. That's a cool question. So what would you guys do? I want to hear it down below in the comments below. Also, if you want to talk about science with me personally, and we have an actual Russian cosmonaut. He used to be a Russian cosmonaut, and then he was an astronomy teacher, I believe. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you all his business, but anyway, he's in our Premier Science Elite group. So am I and other members. You can talk to all of us personally about science, and you get 2 free samples of my books for free with the link down below in my Premier Scientific Elite group. Anyway, let's go to the next question. How far is the black hole in the center of our Milky Way galaxy, and how big is it? I couldn't tell you how far it is. I don't know that by memory, but I do know that it could be responsible for holding our whole galaxy together, along with dark matter, because as its gravitational force is so strong, it keeps the spiral kind of shape that solar systems form around it. And that's the main thing behind spiral galaxies, is the black hole in the middle of them. Let's go to the next question. Let's see. Can you transform other planets into black holes? So the thing with black holes is that they're made by something called the Schwarzschild theory, which is a certain density of matter could warp space and time so much to where light can't even escape. So a warp in space and time is what creates gravity, essentially, if we adjust the camera. So imagine space and time as a trampoline. If you put a bowling ball in the middle of the trampoline will bend. And then while that bowling ball is in the middle of the trampoline, you put a marble at the end of the trampoline. That marble will roll towards the bowling ball. That's essentially how gravity works. The trampoline is space and time in space. And this warp in it creates gravity. So really a cool thing about gravity is not a force that pulls things. It's actually a force that pushes things. So that's something interesting for you to think about. But to make every single planet a black hole, you would have to condense it in so small of a volume, depending on how massive the planet is. It depends on the planet. And I know for a fact that the sun, if we were to make the sun a black hole, we would have to collapse it down to a 2-mile radius. And that would be a very massive density. And that would be a very destructive event for our solar system. And another thing about black holes is that they spin. They have angular momentum. And I believe I said that on the last podcast. But anyway, the centrifugal force of the leftover core of a star when it's about to turn into a black hole, the centrifugal force can beat the gravity, preventing it to collapse all the way and become nothing, in a sense. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. Just water. Cool. Also, speaking of the universe, dark energy and dark matter. Very mysterious things, but I think I have a theory for what dark energy is. And I was thinking I could share it with you guys today, what I think dark energy is. But before I do that, let's get to the short commercial break. Astronomy, Egyptians. They come together, and we have Egyptians that know what they're doing when it comes to astronomy. They know what they are doing. They exactly know what they're doing. They were on point, and so were the Greeks and the early civilizations of humans. And let's get to the point here. If you like the Egyptians, and if you like jewelry, then check out the Golden Tomb Jewelers. Now, these guys are so amazing. You can buy jewelry today that has, Egyptian styles to it, Egyptian art to it. There's even one that's like a necklace with like an Egyptian tomb on it. It looks really amazing. They have some awesome, gold chains, necklaces, bracelets that you can get today that are Egyptian style. They have Egyptian artwork on them, and they're super amazing. You check them out with the link down below in the description. When you click that link, it will take you to a webpage where I have all the products listed with pictures and stuff and links to get them. And yeah, I think you'll really like it. Golden Tomb Jewelers, get your Egyptian jewelry today. See you soon. I mean, to be honest, man, I would get that jewelry. Are you gonna go get the jewelry? Go get it. Stop just standing here. Go get your jewelry. Bro, do you like the Egyptians or not? Make sure to check out the jewelry today with the link in the description, or I will take your Halloween candy. Welcome back, guys. I'm chewing on some ice so that my throat feels better. But anyway, if you like the Egyptians, make sure to check out the link in the description. So let's get some more questions. Gotta be exclusive here. Gotta let you guys know that I like to share these facts with you. So yeah, before the commercial break, I said that I will tell you what is my theory on dark energy. So for you to understand this theory, we have to look at two things: quantum mechanics and inflation theory. I hope you can hear that good. The audio's not saying it's too good. Is that better? Hello? Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, it's good. So, inflation theory. The only way for inflation theory to really work out really well is with the multiverse existing. So, how does this work? Say you have a giant span of space and time. That's the universe. Giant span of space and time. And so that every little area of this giant space and time, which is the multiverse, every little area is expanding at their own inflation rate. So the addition of all of these little areas expanding, the addition of that makes the total inflation rate of the whole multiverse. And all these tiny areas where they have their own inflation rate in space and time is their own universes. And guess what? There's a way we can create more pieces of space and time that inflate at their own inflation rate, adding to the total inflation rate, making our universe expand even faster. I know that makes no sense, but let me explain how we can create other universes. By me deciding to do this podcast, I could have created another universe. By you deciding to watch this podcast, you have probably created another universe. Because there's a quantum probability that you didn't watch this podcast. But for the reason that we feel like we have free will of our decisions, is because we take the most probable path. But the other probable path is not just discounted, throw away in the trash. It's used in a parallel universe. Now, every time you make a decision, the other outcome you could have done happened in another universe that you just created. So the other probabilities that didn't happen are not just thrown away, they're used to create another universe. So another universe, you could be a completely different person with completely different outcomes than this universe. And by doing this, we create more universes in this, adding to this giant, span of space and time, creating the multiverse. We add more spaces of that space and time, and then those universes expand at their own inflation rate really fast, adding to the total inflation rate, So the total of the multiverse is going really fast, expanding. Not because the multiverse is expanding, the multiverse space and time is expanding, but because all the little tiny universes are expanding, and these tiny universes are part of the huge piece of space and time, making that huge piece look like it's expanding. So every time we make a decision, we create another universe, adding to the total inflation rate, which means that total inflation rate can affect our universe, meaning that our universe goes faster. Now, your mind may be blown if you have to go back in this video, in this podcast. Something to think about. How every time we make a decision, we're making the universe move faster and faster and faster. So it's not an energy, it's quantum probability. That's just my theory on it. Yeah, that's my main theory on that. It may be true, may or not. Maybe, may not be true. Maybe. I think it might be true. Yeah, I want to hear you guys' opinion on my theory of how dark energy could exist in the comments down below. Yeah, my throat really hurts. Cool. So let's go to more questions. MHAIM31, is that right? Says, how does pi and E work in the real world? So pi is something fascinating. Pi is a mathematical concept that exists all around the universe, and the golden rule too. If you look at the golden rule, look at seashells. Seashells follow the golden rule. They curve around like that. Pi is also very fascinating. Let me show you an example. I'm get a piece of paper, and get a pen. That doesn't work. And get a pencil. I'm gonna draw a circle. Now this circle won't be perfect because I'm not the perfect drawer, but it'll be a circle. Pretend that this circle is a perfect circle. Of course, it has some irregularities. That's how any circle is when someone draws it. It's not perfect ever. But pretend that this is a perfect circle. This perfect circle follows pi. Matter of fact, I have a magic hat, an old magic hat, that it's a circle, right? You measure the diameter, each side across, multiply it by pi, and you get a rough estimate of the circumference. Think about that. Pi is responsible for the universal shape of our universe, the circle. And it also plays a huge part in the sphere. And I believe the sphere equation is 4/3 pi r cubed. Imagine that. Pi is essentially in a whole bunch of equations in science. It's in a lot. Not every, but it's in a lot. And it's responsible for the universal shape, the circle. When you wear a ring on your finger, that ring follows pi. You measure the diameter, multiply it by pi, and you get the circumference. You get the measurement around it. That's how pi is used in the real world. But let's go even farther than that. Let's go all the way to space. Look at, say, our solar system. Or in fact, let's go even further than that. A black hole's event horizon. It may or may not be a perfect circle, but pretend it was. With pi, we can get a rough estimate of how far around that event horizon goes. That's how pi is used in the real world. All right, next question by, let's see. I should have another one. I thought I had some more. Yep, I do have some more. So, Chile or Pule, hope I said that right, says, do you think there are intelligent species out there, maybe galactic species, intelligent species? The chance of an alien existing is 100 billion inside one. So that means there's a giant chance of aliens existing. It's not 1 in 100 billion, it's flipped around. And when it's flipped around like that, that's a huge probability, right? 100 billion to 1. And we haven't even observed all of the universe yet. We've observed it in indirect ways. We've only technically observed just 1/3 of the radius of our own galaxy. So there has to be intelligent species. If there's us, don't you think there's a chance of being another intelligent species? Right? We've already seen planets and moons that have water on them. Mars has water. It's just on ice caps on the North and South Pole. And in order to get to Mars, we have to melt those ice caps to create, water for us to drink. But anyway, going back to planets, we've seen planets with moons with liquid methane and ethane. That's Titan. That's one of Saturn's moons. Titan has liquid methane and ethane. And perhaps there could be a species that could survive on that. We've seen comets and meteors with organic elements that could be responsible for life, right? So there has to be life out there, somewhere out there. And that's my take on that. Cool. Next question. And this podcast may be a short podcast, so because this is a Q&A podcast and it's not as long as a conversational podcast. But next podcast, hopefully I'm going to get a guest on today. Comment down below what guests you want me to have on. Cool. So Pratik2388 says, can you explore the sky in the night? Yeah, use telescopes. Galileo, I believe, was one of the first to use a telescope. Edwin Hubble had his largest telescope that he used to observe that the universe was expanding and that there are other galaxies out there. Use a telescope, you can explore the night sky. And yeah, that is the last question for you guys. Thank you so much for watching this Q&A podcast. Like this podcast so I know that you like this kind of podcast, and also comment down below which moment was your favorite, and if you're gonna check out that Egyptian golden tomb jewelers, really awesome. Thank you guys for watching this so much. It's kind of a shorter podcast, not as long as the other ones, but yeah, I'll see you soon. And if you want to talk with me personally about science and get some cool articles and free stuff, you can press the links down below. The first link is the one for the Golden Tomb Drawers. The second one will be for my Premier Scientific Elite Group. And the third one is a 5-question survey where you can get a free article. And I ask you kind of questions about what kind of sciences you like. And also I'll have a link down there for my new Facebook group that you can join today. See you soon.